Hey everybody, thanks again for checking out my channel. Today I'd like to show you a simple approach to maximize your learning. Some of you may have noticed that I no longer have that microphone. I got this sweet baby. Mwah! I love you. So for those of you who checked out my last video, you know we talked about learning styles. This time I want to talk about something similar, but a little different. Learning approaches. Learning approaches are quite simple. There's two types, surface and deep. And I bet you can guess which one is a bit better.
So the easiest way to think of it is like on this XY axis here, where the X going up and down is the depth, and the Y going left to right is the amount of time you spend on your studies. So as you can see from this amazing graph here, the surface learner just shoots straight across the graph as fast as they can. Whereas the deep learner, well, they spend a little more time on certain subjects, which might make them a bit slower, but in the end really helps them out.
So one question I get sometimes is, how long is it going to take me to become fluent? Well, I don't really like this question because it kind of sends off warning signals that this is a surface learner. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying a surface approach is bad all the time. There's lots of times when such an approach would be a lot better than a deep approach. For example, if you're doing some schoolwork or you got a test coming up and you need to know a certain amount of things by a certain time, you definitely want to take a surface approach. Similarly, you might be taking a course or a class or reading a textbook where certain parts of the course or the material just aren't that interesting or useful to you. In that case, by all means, just get it over with as soon as possible and get to the interesting stuff where you can take your time. Basically, if you want to have a really good grasp of something, or if you want to master something, you want to take a deeper approach. Okay, so enough with the abstractions. What does a deeper approach really look like in real life? Well, I'm going to use Japanese as an example since I live in Japan and I've been studying a bit of Japanese. So let's say you're a beginner at Japanese and you learn a certain pattern, like how to say, I like something, okay, which it would be blah blah ga suki. Okay, so a surface learner would say, okay, blah blah ga suki, got it, next. Somebody who takes a deeper approach will stop there for a moment and say, well, okay, that's cool, I can use a noun in front of that, like ice cream ga suki. But what about if I want to use a verb, like what if I want to say I like eating ice cream? What happens then? Or they might say, well, what if I want to say I don't like something? Or maybe I used to like something, but now I don't. Or, well, if I try it, then maybe I will like it, or I will come to like it. And they stop there and they ponder these things to really grasp this pattern. So once again, if you have a really deep interest in the language or a passion for learning, then you want to take this deep approach. Take your time, really examine what it is you're learning at that moment, and later on it'll serve you better. Cool, so I'm going to wrap it up right about here. Once again, thank you so much for checking out this video. If it was useful to you, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below or send me a message. Also, if you're interested in learning more about deep and surface approaches, check out the description box below. I left a couple links to what I think are some really useful materials. In the next video, I'm going to go over some really practical ways you can apply right away to deepen your learning approach. Be sure to check that out. Peace.